It is cold. Also, it's like 6:30 in the morning, so great. Um, I stood here with me because it's cold, and I'm wearing like I don't know what. Anyway, I wanted to do a little vlog thing about why now I don't know. I'm so tired. But I'm not tired. I don't know what I am. I probably am tired actually. Um, I, where is her arm? Um, yeah. So anyway, I wanted to talk about Babylone and Babylon because that I'm working on all there's Ring of Steel, which is two new album, Ring of Steel, and there's another one called Bloodbath and a Snowstorm, which is an EP. But the Ring of Steel, I'll do a separate descriptor of, I guess. And yeah. Anyway, Babylon and Babylon. I feel in a way it's weird, but yeah, I feel like I don't know actually. I feel like perhaps I have a parasocial relationship with, in a way, Gensberg, in a way, Birkin, but also I'm not. Like, I don't idolize them in any real way. I mean, I think that both are like extremely privileged individuals and all the rest of it, la la la. And I don't really, I like I like the poetry of the music, you know, as a creative person, but I don't know, like, yeah, it's weird. I'm sort of guessing myself or second guessing myself. You know, is it? I mean, I don't like. I think to myself like, wow, like, cause it's funny because I sent Jane Birkin a letter. I don't know, during the pandemic. I think not because of her music, not because I really knew who she was actually at all. Other than I just knew that she knew someone who knew this artist who I really liked and I wanted to make a play about. And so I wanted like maybe some like what do you say private funding, I guess, to put towards making this play. So it's weird, and now whatever it is, 2 years later, I've done. Oh, actually, the music is right. Your music is rather good, but I've not sent another letter. Like I'm not. So I don't know. You know, I always seem to approach things like this in a weird, roundabout sort of way. It's never really direct. But yeah, I mean, if like I don't know. I don't. Do I think about her much? Jane Birkin or anyone like that, or Gensberg that much? No. I mean, I like the music. I listen to their music a lot because I find it melodic. I find it sentimental. Um, excuse me. I find it quite something. Yeah, something beautiful. It's beautiful. I mean, there's a lot of classical musical references in a lot of the work, both his and hers. But yeah, so because I do a lot of Birkin stuff, I think I also do a lot of Birkin stuff and Serge stuff because, of course, they can't sing, and neither can I, and so it's like directly proportional to this kind of elective affinity of like, I can't sing, they can't sing, together we can't sing, rather than oh my god, they're the most amazing. It's Nicki Minaj. Oh, God knows what the kids listen to these. I don't know. But yeah, so it's like that. And yeah, anyway, Babylone and Babylon, eh? So it's really about Marilyn Monroe, all of it, when you translate it, when you get into the, the lyricism of it, the narrative of it. It begins with Baby Lou, which is a song actually Alain Chaffon wrote the lyrics of, and I think the music is by Serge. And then she covered it back in. and then you get this progression from there to like Baby Lou's kind of, I don't know, it's like a talking about philosophy and I like what you do, and it's like kind of almost intellectual, and then it moves on to this these more sentimental songs like you should laugh at laughter instead of a want to cry. So it's this idea of that sort of that weird feeling. We don't have a word for it in English, where where you cry, but you also where you laugh, but you also want to cry. It's that weird bittersweet feeling. I think I don't know how to. I can't too early in the morning, and I can't think of the way to explain it better. Um, but yeah, I think then we move on to um, like Hateful Love. I think actually this album it made me think of parasocial sexuality because it's like Marilyn Monroe is one of the most iconic parasocial icons. I don't know, like most people feel they have like this I know Marilyn Monroe better than everyone else type thing or whatever. And I think in a way, this is kind of, that's what I kind of like about Gensberg. I mean, he is kind of what's the word? Like, he's very postmodern. He's very fucking French in that way. Very fucking French for someone who's actually a Russian Jew. It's funny, but anyway. A Ukrainian, actually, Jew. But raised and born in France, so he's French. I'm just being a bit facetious, I think, at all. Yeah, so I think for him, obviously Monroe was quite an idol, and and then obviously the sort of almost totally different idol of someone like for a lot of people Birkin became right in the '60s, in the later '60s, and that's the thing you realize that like these people, like he and her and Monroe are all contemporaries, right? I mean, she dies pretty much when I think Birkin and stuff like that, and so she's getting whatever commodified. But it's an interesting like thing to look at that he makes this album for her. So Serge makes the album for Jane, to then create this kind of 20 years later, after the death of Marilyn Monroe, in '83, he releases this thing, or they release this thing. And it's really interesting, towards the end as well, the two last songs for me are very, very telling and very, very fascinating. Fascinating. Like, Le Dessous Chic is sexy underwear, something like that, you could say. Or chic, it's chic underwear. Le Dessous, like underwear, like lingerie, I guess, not lingerie, but. And then chic, obviously, like fashionable, like chic. And so yeah, you get this song. It's quite a haunting melody as well. Very simple, but very haunting. And I think it's relatively well known as is the song Babylone and Babylone in France. And yeah, like it's talking about he sort of with Chic Underwear. You can see in the lyrics that I've translated to like a few translations I referred to, and just my own paltry attempts from anglais en français. Yeah, so it's about like the feeling of there's one line which for me really sticks out in Le Dessous Chic, well in English in Chic Underwear, which is I feel as fragile inside as a silk stocking, and I think that's really really poignant because he makes all these references right in a way to this idea of that he has or that people have of Monroe, as this a very very sort of she sort of has the I don't know the sort of charm of a retarded child, but she's also got this intense intellect where she can read Ulysses and of course, a lot of these photos that exist with her with books are actually like totally contrived on her part to sort of counter this image of being the sex symbol vacuous kind of blonde bombshell thing. And which is, again, totally contrived, you know, I mean, this is the whole thing, I mean, the whole contrivance. I mean, even this idea that, you know, like, Norma Jean Baker, which is a great song, but it's about her death. So it's like, what he's done there is he's gone like, okay, let's strip away the idea of Marilyn as this like spectacle, and go down to, you know, who is the woman behind the image, right? So there's like deconstructing the imaginary or the symbolic exchange of what she is to through mass media to the audience, the parasexual, and Norma Jean Baker, and then it's like her, where she lived, where she died, sorry, rather, can't point. And then it's got like, you know, the LA morgue, you should call it, the chief of police, where is he? And, you know, there's like a naked horizontally, you know. And the thing is, and you realize it, I was watching the film clip by Charlotte Gensberg called Lying With You. And there's a thing where in the corridor of his house, Serge Gainsbourg's house, I'm pretty sure that's where it's filmed, is that you see an image actually on the black, like the walls are black, I don't know, velvet maybe? Anyway, there's an image of Marilyn, or Norma Jean Baker actually, I guess, because technically, you know, she's not a star when she's dead. She's the person, and she becomes human again, not the image. And, well, she did. And it's that famous image of her in the autopsy table, and her hair's back like this because she's obviously lying down, and because she's dead. And yeah, it's this really quite bizarre image to have on your wall. I mean, I think that's my thing. Like, I don't idolize Gensberg, and I don't really idolize Birkin either for different reasons. But with Gensberg, I mean, he really was, I think, in many ways, quite a fucked up guy. Like, you know, like it's that thing where, like with Wagner, for example, many people say it. You know that Wagner was like a fucking racist and a xenophobe and all of these other things, and obviously completely, you know, anti-Semitic. But he created like brilliant fucking music, like some of the best music ever composed by human hand, right? Okay, that's period. That's just objectively true. If you listen to it and you didn't know who composed it, you'd go, well, fuck, that's some strong emotional shit right there. Like the Flight of the Valkyries, right? It's iconic. But like with Gensberg, obviously that's not the equivalency I'm making, because Wagner was a long time before. But there's that thing where the art, like separate the artist from the artist, essentially, is the theoretical thing. Like even with me, right? And people in the future might go, wow, he's really fucked up with his like controversial opinions or whatever, I don't even know, his controversial songs or whatever. I mean, the thing for me is, I find for me is that a lot of what I do is, it sounds serious maybe, but it's not really that serious. Like, I think I'm very self-referentially ironic, and I think that I have a lot of humor. Apart from times like this where, you know, like you can see these other videos where I do joke a lot, but I don't treat this very seriously, is my point. And I don't know with like Serge, I don't know if he did either. I think for him, what was most important, I could tell now that I'm really going into his work, life in a different way, not really his life. I don't know much about it, but you know, but the work, to try and understand where the work comes from, for my own self. Like, how do you make a fucking song about, I don't know, like whatever, love, you know. When you haven't really experienced it. And I mean, obviously he had. I mean, this guy was, I didn't know, but he was married, had like children before he ever met Jane Birkin, all this sort of stuff. So that's really cool. Okay, fine. But yeah, like obviously a guy that's pretty effed up, and that turned out to be the case, right? Obviously you can't, but then, you know, shit, you can't create that kind of work without being a bit, you know, like I'm probably a bit, but, you know, I'm me, so I can't say, like, I'm trapped in this. I can't, my subjectivity, girl, I can't, like, you know, I'm subjective. There's no objectivity in subjectivity. It's called, like, it's called object relations. It's called subject-object dissonance. Uh-oh. We all you'll have it. But yeah, it's Lacan, baby. It's called the mirror stage. Where I'm the subject, this is the object, and we're two different things. We can't be the same. See, it still can be removed. So it's an object. It's like yourself. You're in there. This is an object for other people's consumption. That's called object relations. Okay, moving on from the psychodynamic theories. Back to Maryland. Back to Babylone and Babylon. Yeah, so and then you know, after, where was I up to? Norman Jean Baker. Oh well, I was going all over the place, but anyway. And then towards the end of that album, yeah, it's the last song anyway. I really like. I sort of hum it because of course again it's classical music. It's Brahms. He's actually just used Brahms and then added like an electric guitar to it in the original Babylone and Babylon. So yeah, I like that song. Da da na 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 da 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 da. That's like it's quite good. Like, yeah, kind of marches along, but it's also it's almost ethereal. It's got this ethereal quality to it, which is probably why he chose it. But yeah, Babylone and Babylon. It's like Babylone and Babylon, floating on the waves of. You know, I said this in the other one actually, the earlier explainer. But yeah, floating on the waves of like cars, metallic night. She says, floating on like the fame, like the sea of fame. You know, like the sea of parasocial behavior. I don't know why it's in my head. Anyway, and then the end is like, yeah, like a little star lost, and you know, have you seen the star of the badges of the police, the federal police? So it's kind of it's an interesting thing, you know, playing on this, you know, as she dies, Monroe. That it's police are the last people that see this like dying star. It's really a very fucking poignant song actually, and I mean, you know, it's like I went to this organ recital, I don't know, earlier in the year, and like all these men played different men, you know, throughout. Like it was a good month. Like I'd go every, I don't know, it was like every Sunday or every Wednesday and every Saturday or something. Anyway, and all these men played, right? And then I saw the one last ones that played was she actually was like the organist for the church, or one of the main organists. But she had these amazing shoes anyway, and whatever. And I think she had like a baby and stuff, and I really liked it. We talked and stuff. But I found her performance on the organ was kind of like an Italian dinner. You know, like you had the aperitif, you had the like the hors d'oeuvres, you had like the super, or you had like the antipasti, you had the pasta, you had the primo, which is the main course, and then you had like maybe formaggio, and then the dolce, and then the cafe. And it was like, wow, the way that she made the construction of her show through just the organ, just that one instrument, it was like, wow, so satisfying, because the way she did it was just, she had this amazing rhythm and pitch and understanding of the nuances, and like she did this one last piece that was maybe, I don't know, 2 minutes long, not even. And it was like an after dinner mint. It felt like that to me, and because I'm weird, I explained this to her afterwards. I was like, that was one of the most amazing performances, period, of music I've ever been witness to or heard, because the way you did it, it had such rhythm, such textuality to it, such satisfaction that when it all came together and said and done, it had this amazing, like feeling of satiation. Like I felt satisfied, like I hadn't ever really before ever in music with a musical performance, and I think she was quite chuffed at that. I remember her sort of saying like, "Wow, that's really, no one's ever really explained it like that before," and And I was like, "Yeah, but that's kind of like, I realized actually like making love, like having really good sex, is like having a really good meal or listening to a really good and beautiful piece of music." And of course, when you think about this in terms of the most accomplished musicians, it's the ones that are composers like Mozart or Vivaldi or Wagner. What makes them so iconic and so powerful, not to mention, of course, their dexterity with music, because what I'm doing, of course, is lackluster as fuck. And what pop musicians do, rock musicians do, is simple, like it's relatively simple. What they're doing, these other guys, is like hardcore, like Bach. It's hardcore composition. Like these people are like the equivalent today of musical geniuses. We would call them musical geniuses. Easy. Because when you looked, I mean, you just have to look at the music sheets that they use. The music sheets that the Beatles use and the music sheets that Bach uses are fundamentally different things altogether. They are it's a different, profoundly different order of magnitude, and of musical dexterity. And anyway, and I realized that that's part of it though, is that what makes them really great is this idea that that because they have so much more time and all the rest of it, but also they make it a really full thing. They make a full, like, banquet with music. They make a full, satisfying thing that goes for a while. It doesn't go for 25 minutes like a usual EP, or like 10 minutes like a EP, or like more like an LP, like 20 minutes, whatever, or 40 minutes, whatever. They go for maybe an hour, 2 hours, to work up the different dense clusters of emotionalities transferred through the sonic, through the ears. And that's really something which I found conveyed in this organ recital, and it just really struck me that, in a way, one or two of the Gensberg thing, because of course he was a classically trained pianist. I mean, that's the thing about Gensberg. Like, he comes from a solid fucking background of like Chopin and like these Russian composers and shit, like the top class. So then you can see like why he references so much of it, because I mean he's soaked in this stuff. As a pianist, and because his father's a pianist. And anyway, and so I find, like, for example, obviously Melody Nelson, the ballad, which is his own one, it's very lush, it's very sonic, it's very symphonic. Sorry, actually, Michel Berger, who is a contemporary of Gainsbourg, is also really good with this. Jacques Vernier, I can never pronounce his name properly. But he's also a really great composer at the time, and they use string sections a lot. String gives it such a quality, right? And the same way he does with this in Babylone and Babylon, is that there's a lot of string sections, especially, obviously, in the aforementioned, eponymous song. But, yeah, and I just realized that that's why I probably like this album so much, of her albums, especially, is because it has this very symphonic, even though it's from 1980, something, but it has this very symphonic quality to it, and it's kind of satisfying, especially at the end where you have this, it just leads off into eternity, almost. And I think that that's the thing, with like some of his ones too, is like his most satisfying album for me is actually On ma tête dessus, the Man with the Head of a Cabbage, because it's a different symphony, but I like it a lot. Melody Nelson I don't mind it, but I don't like it as much as Shu, the Tete Shu, because I think that's just, I don't know why, obviously that's why I re-recorded and reimagined it, because there's something in it that really I respond to, and why I have it, as a cauliflower head man. But it's, and I think the same with this. I want to record stuff which I really resonate with, because why not, and Babylone and Babylon is one of those for me. And actually another album of hers, which obviously is my three favorites of Birkin's. I don't know, fuck, I like a lot of them actually, but I really like Les Enfants de Sixties, because it's just so playful. There's just so much play in it, actually. And the last second half of the LP, the record, the B-side, is really cool. Like, it's very, very funny. It's very funny. It's very sweet, like the Class XX and Russia Horror, and Mellow, okay. But also the Ballad of Johnny Jane, And what else? Oh, Yesterday Was the Day. I mean, it's kind of sweet. It's almost like Beatles type stuff. Some of it. It's very like surrealist almost, which is like very cool because she's really playing. They're really playing on this idea of the '60s, the late '60s. So I really like that album. Obviously, Babylone and Babylon, which I just explained to you, and I really like Amant de Fien, which is the last because of the sentimentality of it, of course, but also because it's just a fucking beautiful album. Which is the one that he wrote last original collection of songs by Gensberg before he died, that he then gave to her to record, which is crazy, and because they hadn't been together for like 10 years, I think at that point. And it's just this fucking beautiful song. Like Amour de Fin, the actual song, I've translated it twice. And it's still, it's still so beautiful. The melodic structure of it, on point. This kind of almost Catalan references and Spanish music references. And then you have this like very melancholic minor scale that he uses. And then like C's and D's. And then you have like this poetry, like really very I think it's one of the most poetic songs he did, which is saying something because a lot of his work is very poetic. But like the way that you move is like the twinkling of a candelabra, and there's a great line towards like the second half of the song have the best lines where it's like the color of absinthe and the perfume of time, and we've known each other 20 years, like that, or it's like like the last line is something along the lines of it's like an emotional evasion, like it was just always an emotional evasion, which I thought was like fuck, that's so poignant. And then of course he dies like 3 months later from a massive heart attack, and I think it's that sort of thing where wow, what a way to go out, man. You know what I mean? Wow, fuck, that's a dude, that's a guy, that's a person. Um, yeah, and so that's I'm in plans to try to record that because I also like a lot of the other songs, like My Love Is an Outsider, which really resonates with me because I like all these like people who are totally not, me, like the opposite of me in almost every way. Which obviously all these Indian albums are about, the Desi albums that are about. And I like Asphalt and what else is there on that album? I can't think. I'm so tired. Anyway, I'm gonna have some tea now. But yeah, so the last final thing was, with my interpretation of Babylone and Babylon. Of course, I can't do the symphony stuff because I don't have the money, I don't have the resources, whatever. So that's just basic, whatever. Cool, practical. So I just stripped it down as much as I could, and I reimagined a bit of it, like Le Douce Chic. I've done another version where that's actually very similar to the original, but I did it like this pretty much, where I wanted to do it sort of like chopsticks, like I wanted to make it really simple. And these other ones too, where I've made it, so I've tried to reimagine it more as a sort of ballad album than the sort of funky kind of almost disco-y, almost, symphonic album that it actually is, which is glorious, and you should definitely listen to the original Babylone and Babylon by Gensberg, but also listen to mine if you like, and then you can see what I've sort of done. That's really only how you can see it. The same with like a man Alom, the head de jus, the man with the head of a cabbage, the original, and then you can see mine, which is the man with the head of a cauliflower. And you can see the difference. His is much better, but so it's like that. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. Thanks for watching. That was the second part of Babylone and Babylon explained with a dress change and a colour change. Thanks for watching. Bye.